Day 2 here on our dismantling of the 500E. I already took off a few pieces here. I took off the fenders and I took off a couple of ancillary devices here that were kind of in the way here. And so just a few things like the horn and a couple other little tiny things. The headlights were pretty much just one bolt away from taking off yesterday, so I just went ahead and took off a few items here, kind of opened up everything, show what we have. And so the next step is to discharge the system. So I've done another video on that, so go ahead and check that out. Okay, so with the AC fully discharged, that pretty much is one of the hurdles. The battery is a hurdle, and that's a hurdle. Once that's done, it's pretty much straightforward stuff now. So it's pretty safe to just start disconnecting everything. There's not going to be any explosive toxic gases or anything in the system at this point. We pretty much have all of that stuff out. So now, I've been studying this car a bit, and this is how it's built. You can kind of see that the chassis is the white area there. And then we have this black subframe that's going on down there. And so what it looks like is we've got 4 bolts down here. As you can see, big bolts connected to the car. And then this subframe continues on. There's another one here. There's another one here. This is our flimsy little bars that we replaced on the other car. That's one of them. And then there's 4 here in the front, right here, where the bumper attaches to the frame. And then there's about 6 bolts. I think on this side it's 6. On the other side I think it's 4, where this thing is resting on the frame. So what's going to have to happen is we're going to systematically take off bits and pieces that are connected on top here. So suspension is off, as you can see. Tied everything off. And that's all we have to do to that. That's ready for coming out with the subframe. And then I've been just kind of going around here, and basically anything that's tying back to the car, that's actually attached to the body of the car, I've been basically disconnecting. So any kind of electrical wires, these tanks for example, are attached right here, but now they're not. Learned a couple things here, kind of interesting. So this tank here is our battery tank, this one right here. And but what happens is you can see the kind of see it here. Maybe if we get the light down there. Here we go. You can kind of see that the hoses trace back, and they Y off. One piece goes down to the battery, and the other piece comes over here. It wraps around and goes into this device right here. And I don't know if I called this out before when I did the battery mod or not, but whether I did or didn't, or if you're just watching this for the first time, regardless, yeah, the cooling system for the car is kind of interesting. So, or for the battery, I should say. It's actually appears to be some sort of heat exchanger. So using the AC system is how it cools the battery pack. So that's how that works. And so there's some sort of right here, as you can see, there's a heat exchanger unit right here. Let me put the light there. And so one of those pipes goes back to the reservoir, and then it goes in and it comes back out, and then it goes back down. It traces back down to the battery, and it loops back around. And then there's just a little switch over here that activates that, like a thermostat or a valve that actually opens and closes that circuit. And then, as you can see over here, if you can get some angle on here, you can see that there's it's out of the way. We got a couple pipes going in here. These are going back, tracing back to the AC system. All these metal. This one goes over here, traces back to the AC system. So it's kind of interesting. Some sort of heat exchanger. That's how it cools the battery pack. And then up here, I took off the that bracket up here that was up here, and then the windshield wipers. So I just kind of got some of this stuff out of the way quickly, and that's basically so we can remove our wiring harness right here. We've got this side attached back here already. So that's the whole right front part of the car. And another thing too, I've been labeling a lot of this stuff as I do it, but a lot of it is actually color coded, so it's kind of for ease of assembly. It's going to be pretty easy to reassemble because a lot of it's color coded, so it's pretty simple. It's not too, you don't really have to mark that much stuff so far. I haven't seen connectors that are identical. They're all kind of unique, so when I reconstruct this thing on the bench afterwards, it should be pretty simple. And then just other things that are attached to the car, more wiring harnesses on this side. Got all this down here. Just have to pull a couple ground wires right here. Been disconnecting all these ground wires over here in the front. So one was down to the body there. Another one goes onto our subframe. And the positive wires all go back to different parts here, to these different wiring connections. Another thing that was really interesting is that some of these connectors are really nice. I mean, like this one right here, these bigger ones, they have these pins in it. Those are like major system controls here. And that was these two right here, this one and this one. And so they really, when you pull the lever, it basically releases the tension and they just kind of come out nice and smooth. While on the other hand, some of these connectors, like this one over here, these things are just like, I don't know what these things are designed for. They're just like ridiculously, excessively tight. See, what is the brand of that? It says what the brand is right there. Delphi. Okay. Oh, note that. Former GM company. So we have division. So we have these, like, see, this one broke when I took it out. Now I was pressing on it. I released the thing, and I pressed down on it as much as I could press down on it. Actually removed this white clip entirely. Pressing on it as much as I could, trying to nudge it out, and it just doesn't move. So some of these connectors are kind of crappy. Some of them are excellent. It just kind of varies wildly here. I went ahead and disconnected all that stuff down there. Disconnected it from the chassis of the car. And then the one wire that was going up into the inside the car here is disconnected right here. I don't have lighting in here. Sorry about that. You can kind of see where it was coming in. And that, once again, it has one of those crappy connectors that's like super difficult to disconnect. And since I was down there, I went ahead and disconnected our charging plug here, so that is now out. And figured I may as well do it. It's conveniently located when I was down there. So that's one line disconnected. And yeah, just a few more electrical connections that I've disconnected since then. Took out the CPU right here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and disconnect the hydraulic lines for the braking system. So I think this is our ABS and our electric stability control unit right here. And so we have four lines coming out. Those actually trace back to the car, so we're going to be disconnecting it right here. And then over here, these two would feed that unit. So, and of course our master cylinder unit here, electric version of it, is actually that's, this is all connected to the car, so we have to disconnect it. So we're going to disconnect right here. These two are the ones that feed into that system. And then we also have this other unit over here, which I'm not entirely sure if this pressurizes the system as an electric as a replacement for the hydraulic system on gas cars. Since this is an electric braking system, I'm not sure if this is the motor that charges the system, because there's 3 pipes going in back there too. So we have all that going in. Not entirely sure what's going on with that, because there also appears to be some sort of motor down below there too. It says Bosch on it. I'm not sure if that's a canister of some sort, or if that's actually a electric motor. I'm not exactly sure, but we'll find out as we break it down further. But for now, I also found something out that I didn't even realize. As I looked at the radiator situation a little bit closer here, I thought there was one with a small condenser unit in the front, but it turns out there's actually 3. So there's a condenser unit in the middle, and there's like this little radiator in the front. As you can see, it kind of stops right there. But the little one in front is actually connected to a bigger one in the back. So there's actually 3 of these guys. Look at this. Here, let me rotate around here. See, 1, 2, and 3. So the third one, the middle one, is a condenser unit, and then the back one is a full size, and then the little one in front here is like an addition to... I'm draining the radiator fluid out of the radiator right now, so that's for the motor and the inverter and the charger cooling. Alright, that's going to do it for today. It's a pretty decent stopping point. Tomorrow, we'll finish. Alright, we're back at it the next morning. In for another 12-hour day. Hopefully we'll get this done today. I think I feel pretty confident now that since everything is disconnected here and everything's basically ready, it's just a matter of going ahead and taking each component off piece by piece. As you can tell, this car is a pretty elaborate labyrinth of stuff here. There's like, the hosing is just freaking crazy. It's just, man, it's all over the place. The twin radiators, or the radiator and then the baby radiator, auxiliary radiator. It's this craziness. I don't even know what to think of that. But especially when you look at the front of the car and how small the openings are for such a big radiator that they added an extra one. It just makes no sense to me whatsoever. But anyway, let's continue on. Moving right along here, so we've got a few items out now. We've got the charger unit out. We've got the whole AC system out. The compressor was mounted down here. Pretty heavy unit. Actually, massively heavy actually. And we got the reservoir out for the charger controller. This is the controller, and for the motor. So that's the cooling system for that. So you can see, you might be able to see, we got wires coming out of our controller unit here. They're going to go right down, directly down to the motor here. You can kind of see. So we're going to get to that, but first, let's go ahead and take out the battery cooling system here. Now, I'm looking at this a little bit closer, and it looks like we have, this is part of the cooling system, but we have the little baby radiator, the half radiator, which is where these two hoses go to. They have these quick connectors on them. That actually went to the little baby radiator that's out front, and they go back to a separate thing. It looks like I believe they go to the battery circuit. So it looks like that little radiator did have a purpose. That is actually the battery radiator. And in addition to that, it has the additional cooling with the R134A Freon. That's some sort of heat exchanger unit as backup or additional cooling. So anyway, let's take that out, and then we'll go ahead and open this up more. Further progress here. Kind of will describe the what I found here. So all of this black hosing you see, this is the battery reservoir tank. All this black hosing here, all of that, with the exception of these two hoses right here, which are going to the motor. All of that black hose stuff going down to that little radiator, and then this little one right here that comes out to the front goes down to this box down here, which is actually the heater. So this is the heater right here on the right front part of the car, and then the hose that goes back up in there. All that stuff is all battery heating, battery cooling. So there's a lot of it. And then of course we have the radiator, and we also have this heat exchanger thing. So quite an elaborate system, elaborate cooling system. A lot of stuff going on here. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and try to take that out as a whole unit. I'm going to disconnect it at the heater down here, and which probably never gets used, by the way, unless you're parked in an Arctic climate or something. It probably never really heats the battery. But anyway, let's go ahead and do that, and then yank that thing out. Well, that was one serious battle that I'm glad is over. That is just crazy. Oh my God. That's all battery cooling, heating, piping. Insane. Okay, so now here's what we got. So we're getting closer, making progress. As you can see. So this is what it looks like. The electric power steering, which is definitely a key component that I wanted to capture here, is it looks like that goes inside the car there. So tomorrow, the plan for tomorrow is to gut the interior. So I guess when we do that, we'll take out the power steering. So that is connected to here. So we may want to hold up on some of this, but not sure how we're going to go about doing that. But anyway, let's get at least the motor and the controller out. So as you notice here, there's like quite an elaborate aluminum frame here that's for the motor and all the accessories and everything. It's kind of mounted to the car here. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of ridiculous actually, because it's a lot of extra weight. There's a lot of extra stuff here going on. It's like pretty elaborate. Not a very clean design. Definitely very much a gas conversion. But I mean, even that it still seems overly built here. Like it's just a little too complex than it needs to be. So this whole aluminum frame thing is basically, you can see that the motor is actually suspended off of that. So it is resting on here, on the car right here. There's 2 points basically. And then it's also tied in the back here. You can see it kind of, there's one arm that goes back, kind of like a transmission mount. It's probably what it is actually. It's probably just a regular engine insulator. But then there's also like one right here, engine mount right there. And then there's another one right here in the front. You kind of see that right there. So kind of like a gas car, engine insulators. I'm not sure why that would even need to be here. I mean, this is an electric car, not an engine. There's not going to be any vibration coming off of the thing. So continuing on, I took out the drive axles on both sides, and then I also took off the tie rod ends right here. And that basically frees up our, basically all this stuff down here is not tied to the motor now. And the tie rod ends, that's just for when we take out the electric power steering. We'll be taking that out probably tomorrow. And so yeah, that's what it looks like over here. And so now, I think the only thing I really have to do now, there's just a couple bolts that are on that tie it back to the back subframe area. And the rest of it is actually just, most of the weight is up here, just resting on the frame of the car right here, these two places. So I think after I take that out, I think I could pretty much just lift this thing up, possibly by hand. We'll see. It doesn't seem all that heavy. Like I can move it a little bit, but anyway, if it's too heavy, we'll use use one of our jacks. Right, so here we are, pretty much done for the day. Recap a couple things. So here's our motor and controller, all the essential stuff that we need. It's pretty compact, pretty light. I put it on a piece of plywood, able to slide it around in the shop pretty easily, so I'll be able to relocate that to wherever I want. So it has a couple mounts on it, so I'm going to try to utilize those again. Why not, right? It's already got transmission mount, side motor mount, and it's got another motor mount on this side here. So it's just a matter of customizing brackets for the car that's going to be going into. Just kind of recap here. So yeah, this is yeah, it's all that nasty, all the plumbing for the battery cooling system and heating system, and that's the heater. And so yeah, some of this stuff like that is going to be pretty much junk. I don't have any use for that. AC, too complex, too heavy. I'm not going to bother with it. I'm just going to get rid of it. ABS, electronic stability control, probably going to get rid of that. That's way too complex to try to get that to work in an older car, so no worries about that. That bracket, just junk. I'm just keeping it because I want to utilize those mounts somehow on the new car. And so yeah, only stuff I really need is like electric motor. That's mostly this nice compact motor. And of course our battery, we'll reconfigure that. Then all the wiring harnesses, the charging unit, we'll need that. We'll need to keep some piping for the cooling system for the motor, controller, and charger. And then we'll probably keep just the little guy here. I think that's all we really need. It's just a nice compact, and then a couple little tiny little fans for the cooling system, and that's really all you're going to need. keep it light. That's the key word here. I want a light, fast EV, because there isn't anything else quite like that out there. So that's one of the reasons why we're going to do the conversion. And so for tomorrow, or for next episode I should say, we're going to focus on the interior. We're going to gut this out, try to harvest as many parts as we can. We'll need the buttons here, and the accelerator pedal, and the display. And that's really the key stuff. I mean, it'd be kind of cool to take the heated seats or something, or heating elements maybe, or something like that. I don't know if we can pull that or not, but we can play around with it. So yeah, that's next time. Thanks for watching.